Alright, hey everyone out there in Mandolin land, Mike Heading here, coming to you today with a little mini mandolin lesson. I want to talk about an exercise I use occasionally to strengthen my left hand. You'll probably notice if you've been playing mandolin a little while that your index finger and middle finger are probably the two stronger fingers, and your ring finger and pinky are probably the weaker of the two fingers. At least that's for me. The pinky for me is especially the weakest, so I'm always trying to work on strengthening my pinky. And here's something you can do that, again, you're not going to do this for the whole practice session, but it's a really good just strengthening and stretching exercise for your left hand. So here's what we're going to do. Let's break it down. So what we're going to do is we're going to take something that we've been working on and we're going to play it without our index finger at all. So let's say I was playing a song like Whiskey Before Breakfast. It'd probably be something like this normally, right? And whatever version you play doesn't matter as much, but what I want you to do to practice is play that same phrase, but omit your index finger, and it's going to force me to play with my weaker fingers. It's also going to force you to do some bigger stretches, right? Like something like this you probably wouldn't normally do. It's also going to take like a lot of finger strength, like something like this, normally with your stronger fingers, is much easier than doing with your pinky, right? Here it's not as clean as I would do it with my stronger fingers, but that's what I'm practicing there, right? So you can take whatever you're working on. It doesn't have to be a fiddle tune. It can be a fiddle tune, but let's say even taking like one of these solo shapes that I might do, maybe something like in B. So instead of doing it this way, now I'm doing it this way. And it might be a really good practice to do it really slow. It'll force you to get really good technique and get some really good pinky strength. But I like doing it with fiddle tunes. Again, you could take a song like Turkey in the Straw. Really going to focus on working your weaker fingers. It's also going to really work on stretching your fingers out, which is really good practice, right? And like I said, I wouldn't do this like the whole practice session. I would do this as like a quick little warm-up, or once your hands warmed up a little bit, do it for maybe 5-10 minutes and then go back into your regular practice session. You're not trying to relearn the song using that new technique. You're basically, I kind of think of this as like lifting weights, right? You're just really working those fingers to build some strength in your hand. Or doing some like slides that you maybe would normally do with your third finger. Try it with your other fingers, right? It's really going to work out your hand. And if you're more of a beginner, maybe try something higher up the neck, right? Where it's not going to be quite as big of a stretch. It doesn't necessarily even matter what you're playing. You could just practice playing random notes and just, again, what we're practicing here is not always leaning on our first and second finger, which are our two stronger fingers, right? For me, those two fingers didn't really ever need any practice. They felt strong. I probably just used them a lot more in my regular life, right? Especially my left hand pinky was like the wimpiest when I first started. You know, it would literally like shake when I put down a note. It was so sad. But that's what I'm kind of practicing there is it's just getting my pinky to be stronger and my ring finger too. To get them where I can stretch them out more too, right? Like something like this. That's also a really good exercise where you're just practicing stretching your fingers out a little bit more. Maybe take a song like Chinkapin Hunting if you know that one. The other thing I'm really practicing there is most people are pretty good at keeping your index and middle finger pretty close to the strings, but your other two fingers definitely usually have a tendency to go further away from the strings. That's really good practice, like a lick like this, right? So the B part to Chinkapin Hunting, really trying to keep those fingers strong and close to the fretboard. Right? And not bring them way away, right? The further you go away from the fretboard, the further you're going to have to come back. And an exercise like this really focuses you and makes sure that you keep those fingers close to the fretboard. Another really good one would be like Bill Cheatham. It also will force you to do some shifting that you might not normally do, right? So if I play Bill Cheatham with my stronger fingers, like the B part, but if you omit your index finger intentionally, it forces you to have to shift more. Which is also really good practice. Again, it forces you to do these different shifts that you're not used to. And really work those weaker fingers. It's really good practice. So whatever song you're working on, I mean, Old Joe Clark. I think it works the best with fiddle tunes. I mean, you could do it with like a bluegrass song too, like, you know, like maybe do Will the Circle Be Unbroken or something. So it's really good practice. It's going to force you to realize how well you know the song. And it's really going to strengthen those fingers. Obviously, shake it out, get some blood reflowing. Don't do it to the point where it hurts. But this might be a small thing you want to build into your practice routine. Again, it's just more like building up the physical strength to play other songs you're working on. And I found this is a really good technique to really isolate and highlight those fingers that I tend to avoid more in my practice session, right? If I do this little exercise for a few minutes, again, I'm really focusing on working on those fingers, where if I play with a lot of the songs with just my stronger fingers, my pinky and ring finger might not get that much practice during a half-hour practice session. Whereas if I really isolate it like that for a few minutes, now I'm getting really sustained, solid practice where my pinky needs to be strong, it needs to stretch out. Whereas something like this is pretty easy, but doing it this way, right, is much harder and takes a lot more focused effort. It also is going to force you to be really clean and precise with those fingers and get the correct angle so your finger isn't being weak or muting other notes. You want your index your ring finger and pinky to be just as strong and accurate as your index and middle finger. And again, that's the goal. It might not ever happen, right? My pinky is still a little more fumbly than my other fingers, But I found that this is a really good exercise to work on this. All right, so give that a try. Practice some of your songs or whatever you're working on. You could even do scales with it, but practice omitting your index finger, playing with your less coordinated fingers, and let me know how it goes. Good luck and keep picking. You got this.